So today's video is going to be a little bit more somber. Uh, First off, wait, I don't know if my hair looks better out. I don't even know. Yeah, we'll just stick with that. I don't know. I still don't really know. But the camera quality is pretty bad. My apologies. But my actual camera, which I usually use for my videos, is charging because it died in the middle of the video that I was making, and I decided I just really need to get this off my chest, so might as well just do a video sitting down, relaxed, with my phone. So apologies in advance for the poor quality, but that's just how it's gonna be. So as you know, I've taken a bit of a step back this year from a lot of different things. I know last year, particularly with music, I was really planning to release a whole bunch of music, but that didn't eventuate, and that's not going to happen, unfortunately. This year I released one song, I released Cry, and then after that my whole world was just too much, and I have focused more on recording and doing stuff so we can release stuff next year. But I have deliberately made the decision over this year to kind of take it a bit more slow, but not just take it a bit more slow. I made the decision to, I guess, keep certain things to myself, and I have no regrets in that. I think it was really good to be able to, with everything that I was going through, to be able to just focus on that and then not feel like I had to bring the camera with me as I'm finding different things out and whatnot, and being able to process things in my own time. And I really needed that. But that being said, I do feel ready to talk a little bit about what's going on. I don't have all the answers yet, and the reason I'm not waiting till I have all the answers is because we may not know all the answers in time for me to make a video. So it's been really difficult, and I first want to say thank you to all of my followers who have been incredibly supportive in sticking around even when I haven't been posting. I have been posting, but barely anything, and just little bits here and there. I think it's been really difficult because I've also thought long and hard, do I want to share this? But then I realized I do want to share this. But my main focus on sharing this is for encouragement and not for discouragement. I don't know, this whole year I've also really wanted to try and, for a couple of years now, I've been trying to break out of the whole chronic illness niche because I just don't like the way it's going online. I don't like the misinformation that's being spread. I don't like a lot of what's going on with it online. And I felt like I got put into this box by the algorithm or whatever, whatever it be, where I couldn't break out of that niche, and it was all I had to offer, or all I was being told I had to offer by, theoretically told by the algorithm or the community, was just being sick and sharing my experience in every single part of my sickness, every single medication, every this, every that, and I wanted out. And I still want out of that because I don't believe that that's all I have to offer. I'm hot, so I'm taking off this. Okay. I don't believe that is everything I have to offer. I believe that I have so much more to offer. And I want to continue to be able to use this channel to encourage particularly young girls and young boys, and my age and whatever age, like anyone who's struggling with a hurdle, whether that be a chronic illness, whether that be like health in other ways, like mental or physical, or whether it be struggles they've been through with like relationships or whatever your hurdles are. I want to encourage people to still go for what they love and adapt, because adapting is the key. You're not going to be able to do things the way you thought you would, but hey, like nothing ends up the way we think, but we are still able to adapt and move on with things. And I think it takes a lot of resilience to do that. And I think if you really have a dream that you want to do, whatever that is, you may not be able to do it to the extent you thought, but adapting and still chasing it regardless is a big thing that I want to encourage. I get so encouraged when I get messages from people who say that my channel has been able to encourage them to do something they love. For some people, it's like a marathon. I had a girl reach out. She wants to be a runner, and she did a marathon, and like that's so incredible. She did a marathon for her school over in America, and that was such an encouraging email to get. By the way, if you're watching this, like that was really encouraging to hear that. I just want to, though, say that I do want to share like what's going on in my world as well, to be, to give you the perspective, and also like, I'm not going to share everything. I'm not going to share every single juicy detail or anything like that. But like, I still want to share with you guys the journey and different parts, but I just can't. I need to like pick and choose what I want to share, how I want to share it, how much I want to share, how much I want to just keep low-key to myself. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to keep certain things to myself, or wanting to take time for myself and not rush into giving you guys all the details. But I'm going to just run you through what's been going on. And basically the answers that I have been given the last week or so. Well, no, it's been 3 weeks now. And I think it's best to get out of my head and think, like, I don't know, for so long I just don't want to sound like a hypocrite where I'm just like, like, I don't want to be in that niche, because I literally don't want to be in that niche. But what I do want is to be able to encourage people with whatever hurdles they have to carry on. And if that means sharing a piece of the struggles that I'm going through and still being open about that, but from a positive perspective and not a victim mentality perspective, because there is a lot of that at the moment online within all this kind of stuff. And I think that's why I've been very like hesitant with all of that. But yeah, without further ado, that sounds so, I'm not going to say it like that, because that's just, I'm not even planning on editing this, so I gotta just think straight about what I'm saying. But, so last year, in July, I had an episode which most of my, like, team are suspecting, like, they're pretty much, yeah, it's a TIA, which is a mini stroke. I have, like, one doctor who's not too, like, sure if that's what it is, but, like, everyone else is pretty much, yeah. So I've been having, like, mini strokes, and when they haven't been, like, full-on mini strokes, they've been, like, cerebral hyperperfusion, which is, like, the same thing, but, like, it's not cut off as severe. So basically, blood, like, oxygenated blood, has not been getting to my brain. It has been cutting off to my brain at times, but then it resolves. And that's scary, because I had the first episode in June. I've never had anything like it. As I'm having this episode, it is full-on stroke symptoms. So my first thought was, while I was at church and this episode was happening, I was like, I'm having a stroke. I hope I'm not, but I think I am. That was my first thought. It happened because I was just feeling terrible in the lead up. Like, I had a couple of days where I was just awful, couldn't get out of bed. I remember when I got out, like, I remember my friend picked me up for church, and I remember, like, I stumbled out of the house feeling terrible. I had a Hydralyte icy pole that I was sucking on because I was just so not good at all. And I got in the car and we went to church, and then I stood up and I was singing, and then I just felt weird, and I felt my pulse, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. And I went outside, out to the foyer. I sat down on the stairs, and one of my friends had noticed and followed me out. And then she had basically got two people from our church who were nurses to come and check the pulse. One was pretty sure it was AFib. The other was like, it's definitely irregular. They called the paramedics. Paramedics came. Yes, it was irregular. But then by the time, like, I was still in that episode when the paramedics were there, but then by the time they had taken me to hospital, it, like, on the way to hospital, the whole thing subsided. Like, the whole thing. And I had a doctor who said, I think it's just dehydration. So, and that was difficult. And then he said, if you have an episode like this, you should not come into hospital. Like, you don't need to come into hospital. The next day, so that night I stayed with my friend. The next morning I woke up and I could barely get out of bed because it was happening again. We decided to go to hospital, but, like, a different hospital. We went to that different hospital, and that's where they did an ECG, and they found first-degree AV block, which was never there before. Never. Like, I've had ECGs before, and I never had any issues. So that was when I developed that I had the first-degree AV block. She said, like, the doctor there said, like, if it happens again, go to hospital. I was like, well, I was told, like, if it happens, don't go to hospital by the doctor. And she said, that's actually, like, he can't say that, and also that's terrible advice. So it didn't happen again for another, I think it was like 3 months. And then I had flown up to Lismore for a camp that I was involved in, and we had an outing, and then in between going for the outing and then having like this girls' night thing, I was in the car with someone else. I'd gone to get some dinner because the girls were having like dinner that I couldn't have, so I went to go just get some dinner that I could have, which was a Boost juice at the time. And I'm sipping on this Boost juice, and then all of a sudden I feel my right hand I lose, it's all numb. And I start to struggle to talk, and talking becomes difficult and a bit of effort, much more of an effort. I kind of told my friend, like, this is weird, this is what's going on. She's like, oh, that's weird. And we're like, okay, whatever. And then I get to the girls' night and I'm like throwing up and it gets really bad, and then they make the decision to take me to hospital. I go to hospital. I didn't want to go to hospital. I was pretty annoyed about it, but then when I got to hospital, like, I went and I'm like, I don't think I need to be here. I'm just here because I'm on a camp and there's duty of care and everything. I was like, you gotta, like, you know, like, you gotta be here. They took down everything and then they're like, you really do need to be here. You are literally, like, presenting like you're having a stroke. And I was like, I don't know. And then, like, she gets me in a wheelchair and it's like, category 2 to resus. She's like yelling, category 2 to resus. I get to resus. Anyway, at the end of it, like, they do a CT and everything and it's fine. Like, the whole thing's alright. At that stage, they're like, okay, because, like, again, the whole thing subsides. Like, it's fine. They said it could be a TIA, a mini stroke. That's, like, the first time someone had mentioned something like that. But anyway, that's what happened then. And then, like, I went home after camp and I was like, that's weird. I hope it doesn't happen again. And then in the lead up to Christmas, it started happening more and more and more frequently. And then it was happening, like, so many different times. And then it happened one time pretty badly in January this year. And that's when they did a CT with contrast and they were able to see there was a delay in blood flow to my brain, which they were a little concerned about. And the neurologist who worked at that hospital was willing to see me about that. But then my cardiologist wanted me to see, like, the neurologist that he recommended. He would prefer me to see that one, so I was like, okay, I'll go see this other one. And then this is, like, starting to get more frequent. I'm starting to get these episodes every month, and then every fortnight, and then every week, and then multiple times a week. And this has been ongoing, and it's getting worse. My ECGs are now showing a T-wave inversion that is coming and going that wasn't there before, and it's only there during episodes. And then my bloods are, like, not too bad, but, like, not good, and now they're getting worse and worse. Now my bloods are showing signs that my organs are not getting enough oxygen, like, the tissue is not getting enough oxygen. And now, like, I'm having these episodes and I'm going into hospital every time to be monitored to make sure it doesn't escalate into anything. And my, like, oxygen saturation is dropping, but I'm still able to breathe. Like, I can still breathe. It just doesn't feel like it's enough. But then my oxygen stats, like, are dropping. My blood oxygen stats are, like, the actual blood test is showing that it's dropping now and everything. And I'm going, like, to all my specialists and they're trying really hard to figure things out. At first they thought it could have been, like, a basilar migraine, so, like, a type of migraine that's caused by blood flow not getting to the brain. We've since ruled that out, and it was like, it's been over a year of just, like, hoping they can find something, hoping we can get answers. And at this point, I'm starting to get worried, and I'm, like, my GP is working overtime to try and figure out what's going on. And at this point, like, you know, my like, Horner syndrome has developed. Like, my eyes, like, my pupils are, like, completely different during episodes and then normal again. And, like, so it's like Horner syndrome, but it, like, comes and goes, which is a condition that, I don't know, I won't go into it because it's, like, too confusing. You can look up if you want. It's basically just, like, usually happens secondary to, like, things like a tumour here, which we checked, which was fine, or, like, there was no tumour there, or, like, a stroke, or, like, it can also be caused by, like, arterial issues. So there's, like, so many different things, and we're just like, and then we start to pinpoint it being a vascular issue, and we're checking all my arteries, but, like, little by little, and my GP, I asked him, like, is this going to be life-threatening? And he literally was like, I don't know, but it could be, but I can't say, but I don't know, but this is, like, not ideal. And then finally we got an answer a couple weeks ago. I went to see one of my specialists. I should also point out that I am getting genetic testing for EDS now, because they just want to double check, like, over the genetics, make sure, like, I wasn't misdiagnosed with hypermobile type, or that I don't have hypermobile type and another type. Like, they just want to just double check what type I have because of the vascular involvement. Not saying that I have the vascular type, but there is vascular involvement in other types of EDS as well, not just the vascular type. So, like, they just want to, like, make sure that, like, you know, they're covering all their bases and everything. And then we found out, a couple weeks ago, I got an appointment. And I should also, like, say, like, we have this GTN spray, which, like, is a vasodilator, and, like, I'm reacting to it, like, in a good way. Like, I'm responding to it. It seems to be, like, subsiding things quicker, which is really helpful. But I've had, like, 50 or more of these episodes in 1 year, which is just crazy to think about. And it's getting worse. And then 3 weeks ago, I went and saw one of my specialists, and we finally pinpointed that I am having vasospasms, which are spasms, like, my vascular system, for some reason, which we don't know. It could be primary or it could be a secondary thing. Like, we don't know. We are checking a whole bunch of different arteries to make sure there is no, like, tear or no, like, bulging or anything like that. So, like, I'm, like, in the middle of, like, getting all that checked. Like, I've got a massive MRI with, like, contrast coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then I've got a whole bunch of other testing coming up. I had a lung function test on Monday, which showed that, like, from, like, having nothing wrong with my lungs to now, like, my lungs are just, my lung function for some reason is just not good anymore. Like, other organs are showing up issues that weren't an issue before. My blood's, like, my white and red blood cell count is now an issue out of nowhere. So, like, it's getting pretty bad, and it's starting to show up in, like, a lot of my tests a lot more. And it's been really difficult. And then I had this appointment, and we find out it's vasospasms, which is, like, where the vascular system is, like, for some reason, it's, like, spasming and cutting off blood flow to, like, majority of my major organs. So it's, like, systemic. It's, like, my brain, my heart, my lungs, my, like, extremities, like, everything. Like, there's not really a limit to, like, so far. Like, it's kind of, like, it's affecting a lot of my organs. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, great. Like, we have an answer. And I said to the specialist, okay, so, like, what now? Like, how do we treat it? And his answer was like, well, it's not curable and it's not treatable, but, like, and he said, like, and it also depends on what's causing it, but we have, like, medication that can make things more comfortable. And then I felt a little weird by that question, so I was like, okay, comfortable, okay. I decided to just come straight out and ask the question, is this going to kill me, basically? And this was basically pretty much word for word what he said. He said, well, think of it this way. If the arteries to your hand are, like, spasming and cutting off blood circulation, after time of this happening over and over again, like the tissue in the hand starts to die and you lose a hand. And you can live without a hand, but this is happening to your heart, brain, and lungs. And then it was just in shock. Like, I just started tearing up. I was just like, but then he noticed, and then he said, but we can't, like, we don't know 100% at this point. Like, we still need to do more testing. And then I saw my cardiologist, and there's not much he thinks can be done at this point. He said, look, it may just be one of these things where you just have to, like, send up a prayer and trust God, which was good advice. But yeah, they are limited to what they can do, although they are saying that, like, the neurologist that I have is very switched on. She's really good at what she does, so, and she's been incredible to be able to, get me this far, in finding out all this stuff. But it's been so difficult, and I think, like, the reason I needed time was because it's difficult because, like, I'm having episodes and I'm going to bed in the middle of these episodes and I can't, like, I'm having them all the time, so I don't go to emergency all the time because it's just a waste of time, because they always subside at this point, and I don't recommend, like, that's not the recommended thing. You're supposed to go into hospital, but, like, logistically speaking, like, if you're having them like I am now, like, every day, like, you can't just, like, go into hospital every day. That's just a waste of time for, like, both me and them. So, like, there are times where I'm having it and I'm, like, going to sleep and I'm just thinking, like, am I gonna wake up? The amount of times last year that I've prayed that I would wake up the next morning, because I wasn't sure if I would. It's crazy. And it's scary, and that does really mess with your head, and it has messed with my head. And it's not even just that too, like, it's not even just my illness and situation. There has been a lot going on, and I have mentioned certain things like my mom's cancer, and, like, and then on top of that, like, there's been other things which, like, it's just, like, not, like, massive things, but I feel like all piled on top of each other, like, it becomes a massive thing. And so it's just been one thing after another. Plus, I moved earlier this year in the middle of all this while feeling, like, terrible, and, like, and moving is stressful, and, like, again, like, it's just, like, some of these things aren't, like, like, I moved, like, someone didn't, like, I don't know, cark it or whatever, like, but it's still stressful. It's still stressful. Like, moving is still stressful in the middle of everything going on. Plus, it was a very stressful move. And then the first couple of months living here was a little unstable. Like, there was a few things going on, and, like, there's just, like, it has been terrible. Like, it has been so bad this year. And yeah, it's been really difficult, and I've needed the time to just step back. But I do want to stress that although, like, you haven't been seeing me online and stuff, I have been really supported by the people around me, and I'm so thankful for the friends and family that I've made down here who have, like, been there for me. And, like, even just, like, the last couple of weeks with everything that's gone on, and then also, like, basically being told or alluded to that, like, I could die at any moment, basically. Like, it's it's difficult, but it's also difficult because it's like I'm not like, there's still that slice of hope that they can do something. So it's not like, oh, like that's it, like accept that you're dying kind of thing, because it's like that's not even the case. It's like this in between mode where it's like there's still that sliver of hope, but then there's also a very real reality that I could just go within like, and it could just be that, like that quick. And that's scary. and and hearing that was difficult, but I think having friends around me who have been able to support my church family has been incredible, and they have really been the hands and feet of Christ, which has been great. I have been getting calls from all my friends and multiple people, and texts from people at church, and like people are dropping in, and people are like going out, like let's go out, get dinner, like food or something. Like I have stayed at like I've stayed at my friends' houses like multiple times this year because like they don't feel comfortable with me staying like here on my own during, so like if I'm having like all these episodes all at once, and like yeah, I don't know, it's just it's been very encouraging. So don't think that like I'm all on my own, and I'm like, because my family doesn't live here either and stuff like that. I do have a lot of support, and I'm so thankful for that, but it's still been very difficult, and I'm now wrestling with the reality that like it almost doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel, but like I'm still also wrestling with that reality, and I'm still like thinking I got to get things sorted just in case. And I think something I will share to end all of this. When I was 15, it was 2015, and it was probably the only year of my life where I actually felt like there wasn't much going on trial wise, like, you know, like problem wise, like, you know, it just felt like it was a perfect year. It literally felt like it was a perfect year. And so I'm tired. It's like midnight. In fact, it's not like midnight. It is midnight. It was this perfect year, and I was getting to know, like, I was growing deeper in my faith with Christ, and it was my own. It was no longer like, it wasn't just, you know, a get out of jail free card kind of thing. It was that's when it became a relationship between me and Christ. And a lot changed within like my behavior and everything. Like there was just such a big shift, and none of that was me. It was Christ who did it. And there was in that year there was this verse that I got throughout the year, and I ended up getting it so many times to the point that it actually kind of became a bit of a joke, because it was like not a joke, but like people, like I got given this verse on like cards with just that verse. I got given like letters from people with like like, hey, thanks for coming. Like, I thought of it, like, this verse is, like, I thought of it for you, like, you know, like, I hope it encourages you. And this verse just kept happening and coming, like, and and to the point where I could literally just, like, if someone was giving me, like, you know, like, I've got a nice Bible verse for you, I was like, I know what verse it's going to be. Like, I knew it. Like, it was so predictable at that point. And I remember thinking, like, it was almost like every other verse, like, wasn't really, like, being given to me. Like, it was just this one verse for an entire year. Given in every type of way. Like, I got cards, I got letters, like, I got all this stuff. And the verse is John 16:33. And it said, "For I have told you these things, so that you may have peace in me. In this life you'll have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I've overcome the world." And it was weird because that verse kind of brought curiosity, but peace as well. Like, the curiosity and peace. The curiosity was like, okay, well, I'm having the best year of my life, so, like, I don't know why I keep getting this verse, because, like, there's nothing going on at the moment that, like, I need, you know, there's what trials, what sorrows, like, yeah, I've had them, but, like, this year's great. But then, like, also the peace, I felt kind of like, it was weird. It was like peace in a way that I kind of knew. It kind of, like, I had this feeling that I was being almost, like, not warned, but, like, or just, like, it was like God saying, you're gonna have hard times, which, I mean, he said it to all of us anyway, like, through his word, like, it's expected. But particularly, you know, this ongoing thing, but then the peace knowing that God, like, used that for his glory, because he has overcome the world. He's in control, he is sovereign. And there is so much beauty that can come out of pain, even though God doesn't cause the pain. But he does allow it sometimes. And yeah, and that's a hard pill to swallow, but he does, and there's always a reason for it, I believe, but I also believe that we can't fully understand the reason on this side of heaven. Like, we can guess things, we can look back and we see footprints of how God used things, but to the full extent, we'll never know. And this verse has been showing up ever since then, like, all throughout my life at the right times. Not like as much as that year where it was just like all the time, but at the right times. And then I had these 3 weeks and everything was happening, and I started, after I got that news 3 weeks ago, my TIAs have been every day, every single day. As opposed to like apart from like 1 or 2 days that I've skipped it. And at church this Sunday, I had another really mild one. So, like, I felt it coming on. I went out the back. I went into the cry room. It was just me there at that point. And I laid down on the couch. It's a bit of an awkward couch to lay down because, like, it was a single couch. So it was kind of like the couch is, like, here, and I'm just, like, laying like that kind of thing. And I'm just on the couch and I'm like waiting for it to pass, but also listening to the sermon as I'm having one. And I took the GTN and it responded, which was good. So, but yeah, waited for the GTN to kick in, and then the sermon was like talking about how life is hard and everything's been going on, and and how, like, God can still use the pain and for his glory. And then I was sitting on the couch and it passed, and I'm listening to the sermon, and the whole time I was hearing the sermon, like, I couldn't stop thinking of John 16:33 over and over again in my head. And then I was literally just thinking about it, and then all of a sudden the minister, like, basically quoted the verse. And then I actually got up and went into the bathroom, and I just cried. And it was funny because it wasn't crying because, like, it was, like, distressing to hear the verse or anything, but it was like a warm hug, because, like, as I'm hearing this sermon, it kind of felt like I was getting this warm hug. It was really weird. And, like, even as I'm having this TIA, like on the couch, no one knew about it because I was discreet, and like, hearing the sermon while I'm having one, like a mild one, not a bad one, just a mild one, and, like, feeling this hug even as it's happening, and, like, it's just, I can't explain the hug. Like, it just felt like it was a hug. Like, I don't know, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It just felt like that. And then hearing that verse, and then I got up and I went into the bathroom, and I just lost it. I just cried, and I cried, and I cried, and then I tried to keep it together, and I got out, and I just had to keep leaving back into the bathroom because I was just an emotional wreck. And yeah. So yeah, that's what's been going on, and that's what's happening. There are so many emotions going on in my head right now, and, like, many of them are also conflicting. Like, it's not like there's, like, one clear emotion. There are so many that kind of conflict each other, because, like, part of me is, like, really, like, gets depressed and sad about, like, that loss of, like, that, like, the potential loss of, like, a future and things that I could do, and the time that I might not get. But then also that depression, but then also feeling peace about it, like, but, like, at the same time sometimes as well. So it's like, it's really weird because it's just like, and it's not just that, it's just multiple emotions, like, all mixed in one. Like, I can't explain it. It's like, it's not just peace or depression. It's not like one or the other. It's like there's so many emotions. So many emotions. And they're all just, and there's, like, regret, and then there's, like, joy, but, like, not the kind where it's, like, super happy or anything. It's more just, like, the kind where it's, like, I'm joyful for what God can do, and then, so it's just, like, so many conflicting emotions, because then also it's just, like, yeah, it's just, it's interesting. But I think that's, like, all I can say, because I'm looking at the time on this, and we're at 43 minutes, 44, make that 44, and I don't want to edit this, I just want it to go out raw. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. Honestly, I'm so grateful that you guys have, like, stuck around, because the last couple of years have actually been quite confusing on my channel, because I'm still trying to, like, work out how to, like, what to share and whatnot, but you guys have stuck around, and that's, like, super cool, because I I don't know, like, I don't always feel like I'm super cool enough for people to stick around, but you guys have, and I'm thankful for that, and I want to thank you so much for that. I'm gonna stop talking now because it's been 44 minutes, and if you made it to the end of this video, oh my goodness, like, wow, thank you. Go do something fun, because you've obviously been sitting down listening to me just word vomit, so like, treat yourself. You deserve something after that, because I'm sure that wasn't easy. I cannot, like, personally, I cannot sit down for this long and watch someone talk, so like, props to you. Thank you guys, and yeah, I'll see you next week. But yeah, I'm back making more videos now, and because I love doing this. But yeah, this one's just the whole spiel. Other videos won't go so much into detail, but yeah. Okay.